Welcome back to Kentucky Sports Television. Now, as the UK basketball team looks to continue their momentum and maybe get into the postseason, the UK football team is also doing the same as they prepare for another recruiting class. Joining us now on the phone to talk about the steps they're taking to get a good recruiting class is Justin Rowland from Rivals.com. Justin, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I know UK just had another junior day where they invite in some top prospects, guys that they're looking at in the 2014 class. Can you kind of take fans through what that event entails and maybe some of the guys that were there to keep an eye on?
Sure. It's sort of a casual environment, atmosphere. Obviously, the day sort of revolves around and leads up to the basketball game. And as I had said before, that's sort of something that Kentucky can offer on a level that other schools really can't, given this time of year. You're going to meet with Coach Stoops if you're one of the better prospects there. You're going to break down into position meetings with the coach that would be most, instrumental with you where you end up at Kentucky. You're going to kind of talk a little bit of football, maybe meet with some academic people. And it was a good group there this weekend. Drew Barker, the four-star quarterback from Conner High School, made his way over for the afternoon and the evening, the game. He's a big Kentucky basketball fan, and Thaddeus Snodgrass, a great receiver from Ohio, four-star guy, was there as well, and I'm hearing really good things about him. A couple of big-time tight ends from Ohio, Ethan Wolf and Darrell Long, were there. A couple of really good offensive linemen from Ohio, Nick Richardson and Jarrett LaRubio. And then you got a linebacker, T.J. Posey from Alabama, who has several SEC offers, and then a four-star safety, Darius West, also from Ohio. He was there as well. So it was a really good crowd.
Going back to Thaddeus Snodgrass, he's a name that, of course, has popped up recently, is a big-time wide receiver, and Kentucky has interest in him. Where's his recruitment kind of at right now? How much is Kentucky a factor, and how would he fit into this offense that Neil Brown has in place?
Well, before the junior day, he was saying that Kentucky and South Carolina were his favorites. But, coming out of the junior day, he told me that Kentucky is far and away number one at the top of his list, really just Kentucky at this point. And he's looking to make a spring decision. That's a big deal because he's a big-time player. I mean, he's on our Rivals 250 as a four-star player, one of the best receivers in the country. He's about 6'1", I want to say 180, 190. Got a pretty good build, good blend of speed and possession type as a receiver. South Carolina is the other school to watch out for right now. I wouldn't write Penn State off either, but with him looking to make an early decision, I could see Kentucky, definitely feeling good.
Locally, Matt Elam's the defensive tackle that a lot of fans have followed for the last couple of seasons. He now, I guess, has an Alabama offer. What is he like as a player, and how does he factor into UK's plans for this 2014 class?
First off, he's a mauler. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's about 6'6" and 325. You watch his film, I mean, he's just bigger than everybody that he plays against, and he's got a motor and a drive that you need in a defensive lineman. Alabama had 100 guys down at their junior day, and for Nick Saban to kind of single him out, spend some time with him one-on-one, talk to him on the phone before that, and then personally offer him, tells you what Alabama thinks about him. I think he's sort of the perfect defensive tackle in a 3-4 like Alabama runs. But the good news for Kentucky is he left that visit telling me that Alabama and Kentucky were even. And I think that's really good news. Pick up the offer from Saban, Alabama coming off 3 out of 4 national championships. For Kentucky to be even right now, or at least close, I think is a really good sign.
Your Twitter account, @RowlandRivals, is one every UK fan should follow. Lots of good information. And what you said recently is Delvin Purifoy is a linebacker committed to Florida State. Could have some interest in Kentucky, though he's committed. Can you kind of take us through what kind of player he is and his recruitment and how much of a factor Kentucky can be, even though he's committed?
Yeah, he's a big-time linebacker from Pensacola Catholic, 6'2", 225. Really good athlete, another high motor player, committed to Florida State about a month ago. He knew Stoops and DJ Elliott from when they were at Florida State. He worked with them at a camp there last summer. Tommy Maynard, Kentucky's receivers coach, to my knowledge, is recruiting him, and I think they've spoken about 4 times over the past week. Purifoy's reached out to him. He tweeted that Kentucky is a school that he's really interested in, and he told me shortly after that he's very much open. He's open to visiting Kentucky down the road. And right now, I think Kentucky's really the lone challenger to Florida State right now. It's still so early. I mean, last year I think sort of set a trend that we're going to see more and more in college football of guys committing early and then maybe flipping, decommitting, or at least staying open late. So that one's a long way from being over.
Another player who could potentially be coming close to a decision, some say, is Drew Barker, the quarterback you mentioned earlier from here in Kentucky. Do you think he will commit sometime here in the spring? And if so, how much is Kentucky a factor? And what kind of player is he right now and potentially in college?
Yeah, Drew is going to make his decision in late April, early May. A couple of months ago, I would have told you that South Carolina was the favorite and Ohio State had a chance to get in there if they offered. Right now, if I had to guess where Barker's going to end up, I would guess Kentucky. But it's not over. He's going to visit South Carolina twice in the spring. He's going to be in Columbia for a spring practice. He's going to be there for a spring game. He is going to get back to Kentucky again. I think he's been to Kentucky 3 times in the last month or so. Kentucky feels good about their chances, I'm told. But that one's not over either. He wants to make an early decision because he knows that he's a big-time quarterback, and big-time quarterbacks tend to act as magnets for other quality prospects out there. Wherever he ends up, is going to give a school a lot of recruiting momentum, and I think he would draw a lot of big-time players to Kentucky were he on board early.
JUCO defensive tackle Melvin Lewis is a guy that you had tweeted about, said may commit to Kentucky. Seems like that interest is there. Can you talk to us about his recruitment and the possibility that maybe he's going to end up as a Cat?
Yeah, he's a junior college player from Fullerton Community College. He came out of Compton High School in California 2 years ago. He'll be the first to tell you that he just didn't have it academically. He thought he was a basketball player for a little while, which is strange considering, his build. But, he's really kind of come into his own on the field over the past couple of years. He kind of surfaced maybe a couple of weeks ago when apparently his academic situation became a little bit more stable, and it looked like he might be a go next year. Kentucky is his top choice. He claims an offer from Kentucky. I haven't independently verified that it's a committable offer at this point, but Kentucky is his favorite, followed by Miami and then probably Washington. He's going to set up an official visit to Kentucky here pretty shortly, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's on board as a late addition because Kentucky does have 3 spots still to fill from this previous class.
And before we let you go, as this class kind of takes shape, is it a situation where Kentucky, they're going to target positions, or do you think Stoops and his staff are kind of in the mindset of let's get the best players as we try to put this class together?
I think it's always going to be best available when you're a staff and you're coming in and you're going to bring in a new system on both sides of the ball. Now, they do have to be cognizant of the fact that they really need offensive linemen. They need a center in particular, but they need offensive linemen. They also need linebackers. They didn't sign any linebackers in this last class. And that was just a product of there not being a whole lot of really good line and linebacker prospects available. But I think aside from those 2 positions, you're going to see Kentucky take 1 quarterback, maybe 1 running back, load up at receiver, load up on the offensive line, load up at linebacker, and those are going to be the areas of focus.
All right, Justin Rowland from Rivals.com. Thank you very much for joining us. We always enjoy talking with you, and great stuff as always.
Thanks, as always. Take care.